Why, hello and welcome everybody. It is Pohx again. So as some of you guys know with Skyforge, I have recently taken a liking to the class Alchemist. It is a really offensive support character that is absolutely vital for raiding. And I would almost even say party play as well, like 5-mans and stuff. So today we're going to talk about, the Alchemist skills, kind of how they work. And then I'm going to go over kind of what I have in Alchemist. And before I start this video, I do want to say that Alchemist is a very strong character in PvP. And Alchemist will count for at least 3 damage classes in a raiding scenario with 10 players. It has different types of utility than a Lightbinder has to offer. And furthermore, you can still solo dungeons with them if you choose to respec into a solo dungeon spec. With that being said, let's go ahead and get this started as to where the Alchemist actually is on the skill tree. So, let me just click this, and we're good. Alright. So the Alchemist takes about 3 weeks to get to, just like the Witch, maybe a little bit longer, but it's most likely going to take you 3 weeks to reach the Alchemist unless you make some side detours. And that is located right, sorry, my music is messing up. Alright, right over, oops, okay, over here is the Alchemist. So you'd have to go, it's your choice how you want to navigate to him, but he's pretty far away. He's all the way over here. Now, one thing to note about the Alchemist itself is his section on the tree, meaning like his actual, that's what I'm looking for. His actual, like, skill tree takes a bit longer than most to max out. It took me more than 2 weeks. It took me like 2 weeks and like 5% of my cap from the next week to max out his actual his area to get his symbol. So now anyway, let's actually talk about the Alchemist skills, because I want to show you guys the amount of utility the Alchemist actually brings to a raid. So first off, I want to say that the Alchemist weapons are very important, and unfortunately I do not have the Alchemist weapons. And if you want to support as an Alchemist, you actually do not want to use the Founders or Collector's Edition weapons. There's a weapon that gives Injection, which is a skill I'll go over here shortly. It reduces the cooldown of Injection by about 8 seconds. And there's an extractor you can use which reduces the cooldown of your skill called Terminal. So those are your ideal ones for supporting. Let's talk about what I'm running, well, the skills in general here, and how Alchemist got to be this such insane damage supporting character. Remember, Alchemist is an offensive support, and Lightbinder is your defensive support, and here's why. In terms of defensive support skills, Alchemist pretty much has 2 things. He's got a couple others depending on how you spec yourself, but for the most part, he's got 2 defensive skills. One, which is his shield. It's called Protective Shell. Protects an ally from damage equal to 31% of the Alchemist's maximum health and removes control effects. Now this can be paired with Defensive Algorithm, which Protective Shell completely absorbs the first attack. If Protective Shell is destroyed, it immediately recharges no more than once. His next skill he gets is called Terminal. Terminal is located right here. Alright, so you can press Terminal to drop it, or you can hold it to drop it at a distance, like at your tank or something. All allies can use the Terminal to gain 100% immunity to damage for 4 seconds on a 60-second internal cooldown. You can also glyph it for Terminal, so it actually has like 40-yard pickup range, which is really cool. So people around the map can pick it up without even being next to it. Very good for PvP and raiding. You could say some other stuff, like you could say that Protective Membrane is a defensive skill as well, depending on stuff. The Protective Membrane will completely negate any attacks that are coming at you. And it will save someone behind you if the attack is, say, like a shockwave or something. Not an auto attack, because that's locked on. You cannot reflect a lock on from someone else's attack by body blocking it. And I guess one more would be Massive Transformation, which reduces incoming traumatic damage by 50%. And if you have it set up, I forgot where it is. Here you go. Allies in the 15-yard radius, the damage they take is reduced by 80%, but then you lose your offensive support, which we'll talk about here shortly. Now, the 3 main damage buffs an Alchemist has to offer for a group, and why they are wanted, is what I'm going to go over right now. So first off, you have a skill called Stimulant Injection. Oh wow, I think they just changed it. I think they actually just had a hotfix. What? Give me 1 second. Well, alright, so Stimulant Injection increases the might, strength, spirit, luck, and valor by 80%. I'm pretty sure it didn't used to say this. I'm pretty sure it just increased the damage overall, but we just actually had a patch, and I think that actually just got changed. But anyway, you can use Stimulant Injection with Loading Dose to make it stack 2 times, so it actually goes to 160%. I'm pretty sure that this actually just got changed like in a few hours before I made the video. So that's one. Now this is on a minute cooldown. With the weapon, I believe it's like an 80 or a 52-second cooldown. Very, very, very strong buff. Next up, you have Energy Shower, which increases the damage of the Alchemist and all of your allies. Now, one thing to note, you cannot use Stimulant Injection on yourself unless you use a weapon that allows you to use it on yourself for reduced effectiveness. You have Energy Shower, which increases the damage by yourself and your allies by 30% for 9 seconds and removes all negative effects. If you have Energy Shower glyphed, it actually becomes really cool because it gives everyone movement speed for 9 seconds, gives you 30%, and makes it so you can dash infinitely for 9 seconds, which is really insane. The last one you have is Bio Trap, which the Alchemist throws 3 flasks. The center one pulls the enemies to the impact, or it pulls them to the impacts. But anyway, it pretty much makes everything take 45% increased damage. Now this also has an internal cooldown, meaning you cannot stack it. This goes on a cooldown with the other Alchemist skills. So like if another Alchemist uses Bio Trap, yours goes on cooldown for 75 seconds. But when you add all this stuff together, you know, the Alchemist offers a lot of offensive supports and still has a little bit of utility, like, you know, shielding a target that's going to die, and they cannot die for that next hit because of the way the talent works, dropping invulnerabilities down. And one more thing to note, the Alchemist Heal. Healing Essence, the Alchemist restores 40% health to allies in a 7-yard radius. The same ally cannot be healed more than once every 5 minutes. But if you pair Healing Essence up with the talent, it's an 80% life heal to pretty much your entire raid, which is absolutely insane. Alright, so now that we've talked all about that, let's go into the other Alchemist skills that you have, and explain, you know, how or pretty much what the Alchemist does aside from buffing. So you've got your left click and your right click. You pretty much just stack your left click. You can stack it up to 8 times. After 8 stacks, you use your right click and you detonate the stacks. That's pretty much it. Next up, you've got Predatory Ectoplasm versus Creeping Horror. This is pretty simple for the most part. Predatory Ectoplasm is for damage. Creeping Horror is for stuns. Since you're not really worrying too much about stuns, it's mainly for PvP, as you can see. In PvP, the damage increased by 20% and targets are stunned for 3 seconds. It is good to note that these blobs have like a 50-yard range for some reason. They're really, really funny. Next up, we have Disintegrate versus Toxic Emission. I don't know too much of the difference. I usually use Toxic Emission, but maybe Disintegrate's better. Essentially, you basically jump up and you spray around you. I can show you guys what it looks like. I'll actually go into... let's go into the training hall. So I'm going to go over all the skills first, and then I'll go ahead and explain or show you guys what each one of them does. Let's go back here. Where's Alchemist? Alright. Just change class while we're at it. Now, it is also pretty crucial to note that by playing a support character, 20% of your stats are actually shared to the classes around you as an aura. So I still run Strength Luck on my Alchemist. Alright. So next up, we've got a big choice of 4 here. You've got Paralyzing Gas, which hold down the key to drop a container of gas on the enemy, which paralyzes them. Janus Essence reduces movement speed of enemies and increases the Alchemist's dash distance. It's actually not that bad. Protective Membrane is your #1 DPS skill in the entire game for you yourself, which basically creates a shield that blocks all incoming damage and reflects it back at the enemy. The amount of damage reflected cannot be more than 33% of your maximum health. Meaning you can only reflect damage based off your health, which means stacking health gives you survivability and damage. Skipjack, which is within the next 8 seconds, the Alchemist can jump 3 times, slowing enemies by 70%. Then you have Biotrap, which we went over for damage. Transformation, which this is something I want to try using for soloing. And Massive Transformation which Alchemist allies can turn into mutants, which will greatly increase their damage and reduce incoming traumatic damage by 50%. The Alchemist inflicts twice as much damage as they inflict during normal transformation. This also shares an ability or a cooldown with Biotrap as well. So these are all really interesting skill combinations that I want to try, which really shows like how cool the Alchemist can be. So let's go over the talents really fast. Improved Formula makes it so every second that you're channeling your protective membrane, reduces its cooldown by 1 second. Accelerated Synthesis makes it so your auto attacks restore more Catalyst. Now Catalyst is used for actually using all of your abilities. It's like your mana. Doping was the energy shower one that we talked about. Toxic Slime just gives you some overall damage increase while you're using Toxic Slime, which would be your number 1. Or sorry, Toxic Slime is this one? Rip, I'm confused now. Don't worry about it, guys. Creeping Horror increases damage inflicted to the character by 12%, more PvP stuff. Loading Dose makes it so you get a double dose on your stimulant. Series Experiments. Deadly Experiment allows the character to use the next ability for free. There's a 15% chance that the next 2 abilities can be used for free. That would be your finisher. One of my favorite talents is Reflective Procedure. Or Reflection. Protective Membrane reflects 180% of the damage instead of 100. That will bypass your maximum health that it's supposed to deal. So my Reflect on bosses can hit for over 100k. With Biotrap, I can reflect about 150,000 damage back to bosses, which I think is pretty good for a support. You know, I like it a lot. For every 20% health loss, the Alchemist can use Hopping for free. I don't know what Hopping is, but I think it might be one of my mobility skills, which I'll show you guys here right after this. Side Effect makes it so if the Alchemist is in the monster transformation, damage to allies is reduced by 80%. This is the one we went over earlier. Intense Reaction. This is something I want to try for damage. When a critical hit is inflicted to enemies in the area of Essence of Janus, all enemies in a 2-yard radius will take a little bit of damage, but when you have like 40% crit rate, this will add up very quickly. Not saying I'm gonna have 40% crit rate on a support, but you know, that's beside the point. Biotrap increases damage inflicted to enemies in PvP by 21%. Matter Transformation gives you some regeneration as well. Really good as well for like soloing in PvP. Steadying Effect is the terminal one I was showing you guys. Enhanced Solution is Skipjack not only slows enemies down, but also immobilizes them for 8 seconds, which is this one. Acid Splash makes it so Toxic Emission inflicts 200% more damage for shields, and then there's a 50% chance that it can be used again for free. Stable Mutation. Killing an enemy by monstrous rage during transformation will take the state... will make the state last 4 seconds longer, up to 10 times in a row. Ordinary monstrous range attack leaves bleeding wounds that inflicts damage over time for the next 8 seconds. And we have Steroids. So as you guys can see, you can see which ones I'm currently using, just located down here. But now I want to show you guys some of the skills in action. I can't like run a dungeon. Of course, you're not going to see me do a lot of damage because I'm 100% utility spec at the moment. But I figured it'd still be nice just so you guys can get a little rundown of what you're using, you know? Let's go show you guys the deeps, man. But yeah, Alchemist, I don't know, it's so much fun trying to sync yourself up with people in party, trying to time your buffs with other players. While you're doing that, you know, you're trying to, at least for me, because I like to push everything kind of to the limit, while you're trying to like max reflect all the damage back to the boss, because the Alchemist is kind of a badass. All the things that people normally run out of, the Alchemist takes to the face. So I say the boss is going to do like a 1-hit KO, you'll time your reflect to reflect it back to the boss and him for like a good maybe like 1 or 2% of his life. So it's just really, really cool the way it works. Alright, so we're going to first start off with the little acid bubbles. Oh, not enough resource. I lied. Let's start with our auto attack. You only get 8 stacks, and then boom. Well, that didn't work because he died too fast. Alright, next we're going to try our Toxic Emission, which is our 2. Now, one thing to note as well for mobility, if you dash backwards, it'll actually proc one of your skills, which you'll see here in a second. And then you can press Q and fly, because got a blast from Jimmy Neutron. Alright, so let's try the Creeping Horrors out, which are these little dudes. These are my favorite. They're little happy guys. They're absolutely hilarious. In like PvP, you get like a mass army of them just go nuts. Alright, this would be our Area Shower, which is going to be V. So I'm going to press Area Shower, and then I'm going to Biotrap some mobs. And I'm going to show you that it pulled them together there, and I can actually permanently dash now for this short duration while energy shower is up. This is going to be the terminal I'm going to drop here. You can see I take no damage when vulnerable with it up. I'm actually going to target myself and shield myself right now. You can see the shield that I've got on. And next up, I'm going to show you guys the reflect. You can see it reflecting pretty much all the damage back to the targets. Although they don't have a lot of HP and they don't do that much damage, so it's hard to reflect an insane amount of damage back. Uh-oh, let's pop our heal. That would be the ult. So that pretty much goes over that little kit. It says that heals 80% life. I don't know exactly how it works, because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I feel like this maybe a mistranslation going on there, somewhere amongst those lines. But yeah, I mean, overall, Alchemist is a very enjoyable, it's a really enjoyable class, and the amount of damage you give players is absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, of course, please feel free to drop them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any of them. You know, you'll see me raiding with my Alchemist or even parties for the most part. But when I'm soloing, I'm most likely going to be playing my Witch because we don't have a dual spec yet. But I hope you guys had a wonderful time. This music is by Vincept if you guys are interested. You know, if you liked the video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And check me out on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Pohx. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I hope to see you guys all tomorrow. Take care.